A show for you today. This one's going to be unique. The greatest tennis coach ever to live is with us. His name is Rick Macci. If you don't know him, you will know him for sure by the time we're done here, because he was the man that single-handedly elevated two young girls from Compton into tennis greatness. 30 Grand Slams between them. I'm talking about Serena and Venus Williams. He was featured in the movie King Richard. You may remember King Richard. That starred Will Smith. I know you remember that. And so it was quite an exciting movie. I enjoyed it. I'm sure many of you did as well, as I look to bring Rick on stage with me right now. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, good to see you. Hey, I just jumped off the court. I'm all yours.
I know. And you get up at what time?
1 o'clock. I told you that before, but the reason why, I told you 12 is a little too early, but 1 o'clock every day for the last 30 years.
That's wild. You're the most famous tennis coach in the world.
Well, what others think, that's okay, but I think it's more important what I think, and I just try to get better every day, and I got better this morning jumping on the court at 5 o'clock.
What time do you wake up?
Each day, I wake up every day at 1, but I go to bed at 7. I get up at 1, have my routine, pet the cat, few yogurt, 6 waters, run a half mile, go in the office for about an hour, return everybody's email within 24 hours. 3 times a week, this is crazy, I do a Zoom video, a technical lesson with people from Belarus, Germany, Italy, India, before I even jump on the tennis court here at the Rick Macci Tennis Center. And the most important thing is I love it just as much today at age 69 as I did at 22. And if you have passion, that's the leader in the clubhouse.
How long have you been coaching tennis?
Well, I actually started like when I was a kid, like 17. I used to give tips and pointers back in my hometown of Greenville, Ohio. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was the best in the town. But I really started teaching at age 22. I wasn't going to make it on
tennis player yourself. You were a pretty good tennis player.
Yeah, I picked up a racket at age 12. My father passed away when I was 10. I was a 4 handicap golfer. I thought I was going to be a pro golfer. I picked up a racket at 12, hit against the wall. I liked the sound. Wally was undefeated, Greg. He was undefeated. It always came back. Listen to this story. 6 years later, 18 years old, #1 player in Ohio Valley, never had a lesson, a lot of grit, a lot of fiber, good athlete, fortunate to be in the Hall of Fame in my high school for basketball and tennis. But I knew to make it big, all the money's at the top. So at 22, I got into teaching, and I figured however I was put together, I have a gift to help others. And I still, like I said, do it as much as I did back then, even with more knowledge.
Yep. 7-time USPTA National Coach of the Year. You've trained 5 #1s, Andy Roddick, Jennifer Capriatti, Maria Sharapova, and of course, Serena and Venus Williams. You were very prominent in the movie King Richard, which is the story of how those 2 young sisters escaped from Compton. I say escape because it's so dangerous there, and not that many people have the wherewithal to be successful outside of Compton, and you took them under your wing at a very young age. I want to talk about it, but before we do that, I just want to share just a snippet from the trailer of this movie that grossed $39 million and was among the best movies of the year when it came out.
Go out for practice, don't you think? Don't the girls have schoolwork to do?
They do their homework. Tundi's first in her class. Lynn and Isha are too.
Now, I don't even mind you saying we hard on these kids. You know why? Because we are. That's our job, to keep them off these streets. You want to check on the kids? Let's check on the kids. We got future doctors and lawyers, plus a couple tennis stars in this house.
The chances of achieving the kind of success that you're talking about is just very, very unlikely.
Okay, you're making a mistake, but I'm going to let you make it. Watch them hit a few balls. All right. So tell me your names again.
I'm Venus. I'm Serena.
So what'd you think? I wrote me a 78-page plan for their whole career before they was even born.
Yeah, baby, yeah!
These girls so great, how come I've never heard of them?
They're from Compton.
It's okay. They're just not used to seeing good-looking peoples like us.
She's nervous. Make a step up.
Maybe she ought to take a few more steps up. Just get someplace safe.
I think you might just have the next Michael Jordan.
Oh, no, brother, man. I got me the next, too. What's the next step you got to take? You're not going to just be representing you. You're going to be representing every little black girl on earth.
I'm not going to let you down.
How could you? This world ain't never had no respect for Richard Williams, but they're going to respect y'all. You don't walk out there with your head up. You are a champion, and the whole world knows it. The most dangerous creature on this whole earth. It's a woman who know how to think.
Yes, Daddy.
Ain't nothing she can't do. You gonna show them how dangerous you are? Venus and Serena gonna shake up this world. Venus Williams, who is your best friend?
You, Daddy.
Serena Williams, who is your best friend?
Venus. Then you.
That's
Then you after Venus.
Wow. What do you think when you see that?
Well, I haven't watched the movie for a while. That's a little emotional. You know, I need to go back and look at it again. I've watched it obviously about 10 times, but so spot on, so real. The walk, the talk, the nuances, the one-liners. The only thing that was off, John Bernthal had this bushy mustache, and I had this little piece of AstroTurf. So other than that, the movie was so spot on. The money part, everything, once I got into the equation, it blew me away. It really did. I love the movie because it told the real story. And listen, if I don't take the chance, who knows? We might not be doing this podcast. Who knows?
I think that's pretty safe to say. They went on to win 30 Grand Slams, and ironically, Venus was more acclaimed at one point than Serena. Serena went on to win 23 Grand Slams. Venus went on to win 7. Why was that? Why was one more prominent than the other, and how did Serena grow to surpass her?
Well,
So
first off, great question. But remember this: they played 31 times. Serena won 19. VW won 12. No one beat the GOAT more than VW. So there's something there. So let's take Serena out of the equation. I mean, VW maybe might be sitting here with 30, if you really want to look at it that way. Now, Venus, in my opinion, and I tell this all the time, she had the potential, Greg, to be better because her jumping ability and her wingspan and her athleticism was off the charts. Okay. It was crazy. But when she got into pro tennis, I felt she used her speed a little defensively instead of offensively, even though that might blow people away because she was very authoritative. But listen, Serena made Venus better and Venus made Serena better. You know, two peas in a pod. They were holding and skipping hands at age 10. And even today in their 40s, they're still skipping and holding hands. But no, you got to understand, Serena was a little different. I don't want to take anything from VW because they're both like my own daughters. Serena was like a little pit bull. When she got a hold of you, it was brutal. She wouldn't let go. Venus wouldn't let go, but she maybe would let go sooner. And people might not understand that. But they're both big, strong, fast, athletic, great strokes, firepower. And not only did they become number one in the world, in the same household, they shared the same bedroom, and they transcended the sport beyond tennis. We're not going to see anything like this again. To have one, but to have two. And that quote that Richard, that was famous, you know, I think you might have the next Michael Jordan. No, brother, man, I got the next two. And
did you say that to them? Did you say that to King Richard? Did you say that to their dad that you thought?
Absolutely. And he came right back. And because I'm looking at, listen, Serena at 10 was a little prankster. Arms and legs and hair going everywhere. A plane would go by, she'd wave at it. For any parent, you don't judge a book by the cover. I didn't see it in Serena at first, but VW, I could see it a little sooner. But once I got to know Serena and then could project 5'10", 150, speed, quickness, firepower, but she was relentless, and it's what's inside that I made the decision. There was a rage. There was a rage inside these two little kids. Now, you can have a rage and work at Burger King, but they had a lot of other boxes checked. And Serena, just the most brutal competitor that ever held the racket. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of the difference between both of them, but both of them are champions. Yeah. And if Serena's not in the equation, VW might have rewrote all the record books.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a family affair there, and it's a family affair here, because I'm going to bring on the person responsible for the two of us developing the friendship that we have that continues to grow. It's my brother, Brian Share.
Brian in the house.
Yeah, Brian. I don't do a lot of bragging, but Brian is an agent, big time agent out in Los Angeles. He puts people in movies and he makes great TV shows. Donna, jump on stage here. Why are we hearing this echo, you think? Someone's got some echo thing going on here. What do you think that is? I think it's got to be my brother, right?
Yeah, Brian, are you logged into two places at once?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not. I'm just
Come on, dude. Let's go.
I'm in through my phone. And
okay. It's
so
actually sounding
okay. Probably mute your phone and just talk to your computer.
Well, the link didn't work on my computer, so I'm on my iPhone right now. But let me see if I can shut
just use your iPhone then. Turn the computer off.
Yeah, mute the opposite.
See, Rick, can you believe this guy? Unbelievable.
Listen, I've been around the block. I believe anything.
Well, I tried to make him a hero. He turned out to be a zero.
That's all right. But he has potential. You agree, right?
I don't know. It's questionable. I'm still hearing an echo, so I don't know. He looks very perplexed. What do we do with this guy? I mean, he's really putting people in movies, and great movies too. That's the thing. It's like,
hang on.
He even did his hair for us, Rick.
I really didn't. I'm in LA and I had a very early morning, and I apologize, you guys. I'm trying to.
It's okay. It's all right. I'm hearing myself echo into some other chamber here. Rick, I'm going to dump this guy, and we'll wait and see if he can fix his house and give us the thumbs up when he's ready.
I think I'm
Donna,
good.
Go ahead. Take him off stage, Donna. I got to get on with this show here. All right, great. Here we are again, like where it all began. So what was it about those girls? What was it about them? How hard did they work? And I've got a lot of people watching this right now that have children that are young, parents trying to figure out, does my kid have what it takes to be great? Obviously, with the goal of being Michael Jordan or Serena Williams, that's beyond rarefied air. That's like the eighth wonder of the world. But plenty of parents see kids. What is the litmus test in your eyes so that a parent can say, well, my kid does have what it takes to be next level, whatever that is?
Absolutely. First off, great question. The leader in the clubhouse for every coach and every parent, get your kid to be the best brutal competitor they can be. That's it. Forget the biomechanics, forget, all that other stuff. That's the first thing, to be the best competitor, never making excuses, running for every ball, outworking everybody, developing that mindset. Okay. That's the most important. And when you're all about the competition, Greg, when you're all about the competition, the wild card with that, you're going to handle pressure better. Everybody checks out at Publix at some time. That's why some people are better at doubles, because they got a therapist on the court. They have someone with them. And you got 20 seconds to flip it in your mind in the game of tennis. But how competitive you are. And that's a mindset. It can be nurtured in the household. I saw it in Roddick, even though he's a little pipsqueak when I had him, when he was number one in the nation. He was like a mosquito, relentless. He wouldn't let you go. And this is the common thread with everybody who I've had who went on to become number one or people that became the best they can be. They just competed. Everybody checks out, but greatness doesn't as much. And that's what every parent has to understand, especially nowadays. You got to know when to hug them, but you got to know when to kick them in the butt. And they got to be all in with the passion, the dedication. Everybody commits, I want to play tennis, but dedication is a daily activity you got to be dedicated to. But the competition, and I just talked to the kids this morning about this, just a brutal competitor. Every point, even if you're getting beat 6-0, 3-0, it can be the best day of your life because you love to play, you love to compete. Don't let things control you. And this is where parents have to really get into their kids' head, because nowadays too many things control our thoughts and our perspective. And at the end of the day, this has never changed. It's all about being the best competitor you can be. And you got to remember to forget. That's the key.
Rick, how does this translate to parents that are watching that have football players, baseball players, hockey players, soccer players? I want to know how you think it shows up. What are the common threads among kids that have whatever that inner thing is that I'm asking you about that can take them to the next level?
Yeah, well, first off, they can't wait to do whatever their passion is. And they do more and more every day. They're self-motivated. You got to motivate them a little bit, but that takes on a life of its own. Passion, that's what every parent, you got to maybe help still that in people. But when they have passion, it's going to help them in business. It's going to help them in anything, in their studies, whatever they do. It's a mindset. But unfortunately, a lot of parents, they want to make excuses. They're in the moment. This is development for the future. You're building blocks. Listen, all these wires that I'm put together, that didn't start 10 years ago. That started way back in Greenville, Ohio, how I put together. And this is what I'm trying to tell every parent. Those are the common threads, no excuses. You can't wait to work. You know what I mean? You love to work. Okay. You'll feel like you're hardly working. It's the passion. And once someone finds their passion, whatever it is, be the best you can be. Whether you're going to be this or that or this, be the best you can be. And the parents need to get involved in this. I've never, ever, Williams, Sharapova, Capriatti, Roddick, I've never had anybody where the parent wasn't involved, and sometimes they don't do it right, and you got to have gratitude and be thankful. And that's what
Let's
I love
talk about Jennifer Capriatti for a minute, because she bursted on the scene at a very young age. And this was a, champion at 14, 15, 16, somewhere in that range. And yeah, the parents were involved, but her life and her tennis trajectory took a turn for the worse. So is there a point where, first of all, what happened? And second of all, is there a point where you can be too into it as a young kid? Is there a danger there that it'll flip on its head?
Well, I don't think you can be too into it, but there's a lot of layers to your question. Let me back the truck up. First off, Jennifer, at 12 years old, became the youngest ever to win the national 18 and under division, national clay court and hard court as a 12-year-old. Are you kidding me? That record still stands from 1988. I had the daily double. Tommy Ho won the 18s as a 15-year-old. So I had two, and those records still stand today. So Capriatti was almost forced to turn pro. They could see what's on the horizon. Maybe the next Chris Everett. You got to understand, there's tens of millions of dollars being thrown at her. So she turns pro. 14, she's top 10 in the world. Now, what happened is she's a great kid, big heart, very naive, but was still going to normal school, normal friends. Things got a little lopsided, there for a while. But I got to defend Jennifer, and everybody has to understand this. Even in the movie, she was portrayed like the poster child for not doing that. I disagree. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. People have to understand, she disappeared off the face of the earth. She came back. You don't lose the talent. You don't lose the firepower. You lose the drive, the motivation, and maybe the fitness. She not only came back, not top 50, not top 20, she came back to number 1 in the world, 3 Grand Slams, Olympic gold medal, $10 million contract from FILA. Listen, she beat everybody, So you talk about disappearing. I think it's more of a movie of what she did and what she went through and how she came back.
How involved were you in her comeback?
I was very much involved with the dad talking. I helped her a little bit, but all that positivity and all those one-liners that she had from age 10 to 14, they were still in her. She just lost her way. Listen,
when did you start working with her? What age was she when you started working with her?
10 to 14.
So for 4 years, you worked with her and you helped develop her.
Oh yeah, no, she was a machine. The ball was on a string. You know what I mean? And so, but regarding Jennifer, that's the story right there. Now, if the parent doesn't understand this is a long-term process, this is a journey, things are going to change. They get bigger, stronger, driver's license, boyfriend, girlfriend, a lot of things can get in your head. That's why all parents should surround themselves positive people, better influences, because things are going to infiltrate the brain. And people are aware of what they put in their mouth, but they're not aware of what goes into their brain. And any parent listening to this, they got to be around that, because you're going to get that garbage from social media, the news, whatever. This is so powerful, Greg, and a great question. But in Capriatti's situation, that was a little bit different.
Yeah. So when you say you can control what goes in your mouth, I mean, I think about nutrition at that point, right? I wanted to ask you anyway. So it's a perfect segue into how important is nutrition, sleep, things like that when you're 12, 13, 14, when you're in that developmental stage. What kind of an onus do you put on those things?
100%. Either you're in or out. Now, I don't mean you have to be like, bang, never any sugar or never any this or that. But if you want to be a pro or be the best you can be, let's act like it. And that's from fitness. That's from diet. That's from training. You're either in or out. Now, if you just want to nibble on the edges, you're going to get those results. So nutrition is big. That has a lot to do with your energy. Listen, some kids might have to do it a little more because of the genetics and the weight and stuff like that. And we've talked about this before. Vlada, this 8-year-old Ukrainian that I have, who's like the best in the world. I mean, she has all her meals laid out, how many calories, down to the T. All right. Her fitness is down to the T. And if you get in this routine, in my opinion, you become a machine. Okay. And she's been doing this since 3 or 4, but there's balance. They're kids first. Whatever sport they're doing is second. They got to have fun. They got to enjoy it.
So you're talking about Vlada. I don't want to go too far ahead without sharing with people, because this is, according to you, the next number 1 player in the world who you're coaching currently. I'm just going to give people a little glimpse. You can follow her on Instagram. This is Vlada, this 8-year-old phenom. You can see her workout here.
It's harder when it's you. Try to find a solution. Through.
There's that, and then this is her on the court.
Good. Again. Way to pop the corn. Good. Look at her feet. Popping the popcorn, extra butter. Look at those feet. That's double butter. That's movie theater butter right there. Look at the feet. Look, if you don't want to move, you take up golf. But Greg, I can show you how to hit a golf ball too. Look at the feet. 2, 8 years old, driving. Look at that. All I'm saying is, go ahead.
Yeah, Rick. So this is a young lady. Let me see if my brothers were ready to come back on stage in a way that works. Brian, what's up, man?
What's up, guys? Sorry about that.
I think we might be good.
Technical errors from Los Angeles. What can I tell you?
Here he is. Rick, this guy's a star, man. Talk about stars. Brian Scher, my brother, is a star. Brian, who are some of the people that we might know that you deal with out there in Hollywood? What are some names? Name drop for a minute.
I mean, I hate to do that, but some of the artists that I work with.
Your brother.
I mean,
some artists
over the years. I've worked very closely with Nicki Minaj, Kelsey Grammer, T.I., Quavo, Lil Yachty, Mariah Carey, Denzel Washington. You see behind me when I was an agent. Several others. I don't like to really talk, name drop like that, as but.
Well, here we are with you forgot one major star. You see the guy up there in the right corner.
Yeah, actually, Rick is my new discovery. Rick Macci, that's my newest client, and he's a superstar in his own right. And I have to give a shout out to our mutual friend David Meltzer, who put us together. And I'm really, I didn't know when he introduced us, Rick. I thought it was just a quick intro, and I know you were interested in maybe doing a television show. And I've obviously produced a number of shows. And when I saw you and got to know you, I said, wow, not only are you a superstar, but this idea you have about finding the next phenom. I mean, no one has more credibility than you. So, we're on our way in developing that. And Greg's a key part of that and a key connector. And here we are. We're excited to be in business with you and just to know you.
Yeah. And so currently you're working on a show that's being packaged up that has the cooperation and the excitement of Serena and Venus, and is it their sister as well, and the whole production company, and Rick and Phenom Maker, right? That's the that's one of the prototype names to this show, where Rick is going to take a look under the hood of some of the best, youngest players in the world, and figure out which one he wants to pour all his resources into to make hopefully the next number one. It's a great idea, Rick. I mean, you're sitting on a gold mine there in Boca Raton, Florida. It's amazing what you're sitting on. Talk about the dynamite under you.
Yeah, no, listen, I've been fortunate. I've worked with so many pro athletes, NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, hockey. People won gold medals, through my career of people bringing their kid to me. So I know what greatness is from that point of view in the genetics. So from all the success of everybody else that you've already mentioned, I get kids that, they are definitely going to be pros. Okay. And a lot of them are going to be very good pros. But when you showed the thing with Vlada, this is a whole different animal. Every box is checked on the inside. I just got to put Humpty Dumpty together on the outside and build a game that's going to be bulletproof 8 years from now when she's on the pro tour, if not
Where's
sooner.
she from? Like aren't you repeating? I just want everyone to know you're repeating some of the things you did for Serena and Venus. You moved her from another part of the world. You are supporting her and her mother financially. Like, to give us a window into all that.
Yeah, no, they're from Ukraine. Well, they actually came to the United States right when the war started, but they came down to me. Peter Bodo, who's probably the top tennis writer in the world, said, Rick, you got to look at it. I looked at a video. I didn't see it. I said, I got to see it live and in color. 5 minutes when she was on the court competing, I saw every box checked and more. Okay. So what I did, this is the first time, and I've been asked 10,000 times, my kid, I've never went in financially to help. I've helped kids for free, give them a scholarship or whatever, the tennis part. But this is a whole different animal where you're taking on, the family, where you're making this dream come true. And by the time she's pro, there's going to be millions put into it, like I did the Williamses. It has to be filet mignon, hitting partners, the best fitness, my time. It's a whole different way to go about doing it, not just academy and, playing other matches. And I got 3 daughters, and this little girl is like my 4th daughter, and I love it.
And so you're writing the checks though, right? You moved them here, you're supporting them all in.
Yeah, probably so far this year, they've been here like 10 months. There's probably over 400,000 put into the project already, from living expenses to doctor visits. Listen, we get an echo done. We check her heart. People don't understand the discipline that goes into this, because there's another layer. I represent her too. I'm going to be her agent, and you guys are going to be along with me in this ride. I'm her agent also, with everything that's going to flow. So this is a different thing. Where with Venus and Serena, I was just their coach. This is different. I'm going to control the marketing part of it. And now with the platform, I got even more incentive, not that I needed it, to go all in and make her the best I can. And what I love about it, she's only 8, so I can bop and weave and twist and shout, and I can make adjustments. There's no rush. Where if she was 13, it's a little different deal. And right now, the improvement in 9 months is beyond epic. It's crazy.
Rick, you have a very vast network. I'm getting texts from some of our partners saying I shouldn't have scooped the show. I'm a little preemptive in talking about it, but what the hell? Here we are, too late now. But that just speaks to the excitement about it.
Yeah, for sure.
There goes the press release. We are excited. Rick, Greg, we're all producers, executive producers on it. Venus and Serena as well. And it's going to be a real massive franchise we're going to launch next year.
But I know they don't want to talk about the show, but it's going to be different because it's for everybody. It's going to be about more life lessons, and just have to focus people hitting tennis ball. but it's so much life lessons and how this is done. People are going to be blown away, whether your kid plays football, baseball, basketball, volleyball. It's going to help your employees at work. They're going to see discipline on steroid. Because listen, what I do is I build greatness. This isn't good. Yep. I mean, we're up at 3 a.m. on the tennis court under the lights. This is a whole different animal. But if I didn't think she had it, she'd still be wherever. That's why I'm going all in. And she is going to be number one in the world someday.
And one of the things, Greg, if I could just jump in real quick, one of the things, Rick, since meeting you that I'm most blown away by are your 2 a.m, 4 a.m, 5 a.m. texts I get. I mean, I thought I was an animal when it came to that stuff, but geez, you outdo me. That's not easy. I mean, you're up at 2 a.m, 3 a.m, saying good morning and sending articles and talking about trends. And, one of the things I just have to say that I'm most impressed about you, I'm most impressed with about you is that, you aren't, people think you're a tennis coach, a phenom, somebody who can identify the next whatever, but you are really a life coach. I mean, you are sort of in the vein of a Tony Robbins or a Gary Vee or some of the people that, that are my peers and contemporaries. And you're right. I mean, any show that you're involved in, and I've read your books, and your central theme and message is about greatness and how to be great in any area of life. It doesn't have to be tennis. Like you said, it could be doing what Greg does or what I do. It's about the habits and what you do on a daily basis and what you eat and how you think and all that stuff to make somebody great in their field, no matter what field it is. So I appreciate that, what you've lended to us. And
thank you. No, a court's been my platform, but when I've done motivational speaking for people on Wall Street or whatever, and I'm asked to do this around the world, it's just that I'm kind of in my element. And there's so many, like today, there's 60 kids for Thanksgiving that have visited, and I'm there. My name's on the door. I'm on the court. I teach 50 hours. Would I want to get on a plane and get paid 6 figures to go to Germany and give a speech? Maybe, but not now. I got to keep getting everybody better. And that's where my passion is at this stage of the game.
Why don't we create a metaphor for people out there that once had great success, but have fallen upon hard times, that aren't quite feeling the mojo at the moment. They still have the champion inside, but they're just having challenges summoning it and getting back on the right path. What would you say to someone like that?
Well, number one, it's never over till you quit, and everybody's going to fail, and it's all perspective. You got to look at things like you're going to have problems. That's the first thing. Don't be happy on your birthday. First off, you should appreciate what you have instead of what you don't have. That's the starting point. Then you got to understand problems are part of the deal. Failure is part of the deal. When you can start there, you're not going to freak out and start spiraling the other way and take longer to get up. It's all perspective. And this is how, with myself, I'm put together very, very different. And I've been able to relay that and extract greatness from others and change their mindset. So that would be my advice to everybody. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. Be around positive people. Talk to yourself. I'm telling you, Greg, the best conversation you can have is that guy in the mirror. It's okay to say, I can do it. I'm great. I'm the best. Now, you don't want a lot of people around saying that all the time, but you need that. That's what people do. All greatness talks to themselves. I guarantee, I know for a fact, okay? They do. They empower themselves. Don't wait for Tony Robbins or YouTube, but people, unfortunately, they like the train wreck. They like the negativity, the gossip. They get on the wrong hamster wheel. Okay. So if anybody's going down the wrong path, I would say the first thing you got to do is start talking to yourself in a positive way, be around positive people, look for motivational speakers. If everybody needs a little giddy up to get going. And remember, everything in life is a choice. You got to remember that. But people let everything control them instead of you controlling the situation. Nothing controls me. I'm in control of everything. Things are going to happen to all three of us. How we respond could be very different. And we might get the same result eventually, but it's different. I deal with crap every day, but no one even knows about it.
Yeah, I heard an expression once, there are no failures, only outcomes. And that really, that really resonated with me because, what is failure? It's just a part of, everybody deals with ups and downs. Every single person I know, whether it's, the most famous person that I speak to or people that are, everyday people failure is part of the process. I mean, failure is not even a good word because it connotates something negative. The journey, our lives' journeys have ups and downs, but it's all part of it. And the ups are fortified by the downs. And if you didn't have the downs, you wouldn't know what the ups were.
I tell the kids all the time, sometimes you win and sometimes you learn.
I was just going to say that. Yeah. You don't lose, you learn. Yeah.
No, listen,
I love that.
I told Vlad and her parents, I said, listen, today was the best day on Sunday. She missed like 20 volleys, 3 overheads, and a guy that she was playing, 12 years old, took her to the woodshed. It was the best day of her life because she had courage. And listen, you're not going to be an amazing volleyer if you're 4'3", 63 pounds. But when she's 5'9", 130 like her mom, she'll be like a praying mantis on steroids at the net on the WTA tour. Yeah, you got to fail. All your yesterdays will lead to better tomorrows. But kids, people don't want to get uncomfortable. That's life. When you're getting uncomfortable, greatness is down the corner.
Yeah, Rick, I think you should tell the story about Xander, your son, who Rick was kind enough to give a free lesson to. Sorry, Rick, for outing you on that, but
it's okay.
I mean, I heard it was one of the roughest.
I'm paying the price. I get woken up every morning at 3 a.m. by his text messages, so I'm paying the price. Don't worry. I wish I had paid him now at this point, so I didn't get any of those. I'm just kidding, Rick. No, I want to reset the table for a minute, then I'll go into that. We're talking to Rick Macci, Hall of Fame tennis coach. He has been the tennis coach of the year 7 years. He coached 5 number 1 players, including Serena and Venus Williams. He was the coach featured in King Richard, the story of Serena and Venus, the 2 sisters that went on to win 30 Grand Slams between them. He helped discover them when they lived in Compton, California, moved them to Florida, and the rest is history. Rick, you were amazing to my son Xander, who was I guess he's 14 now, so he was 13 last year when he came out there, and you were gracious enough on, as you like to say, you can find me on court 1. And by the way, you've got the most beautiful tennis facility I've ever seen in Florida. It is sprawling. It is gorgeous. There's so much activity and tournaments going on. You work every day of the year. You don't take a day off. Is that right? Yeah, you don't take a day off.
No, I can't.
So you let my son, who, I'll put this into perspective. He was like a 2.4 UTR rating. That's bottom of the barrel. Okay. That's, barely getting out of bed. And he went to Rick, and I think he thought he was pretty good until Rick got a hold of him and dismantled him. And just, but you so quickly got down to what he was doing wrong. It took you 15 seconds and you had his whole game nailed. Anyway, he left the court dejected, destroyed, basically, upset. But it was going back to the lows, your greatest lows or your greatest highs. It turned out to be the most pivotal day, I think, in his life, Rick. That's the impact you made on him, because he went home and he started to look inside. He looked in the mirror and he took the things you said to heart. And now 1 year later, his UTR is around a 5.5. He moved up 3 points on his UTR ranking. It was so dramatic that the association that keeps the scoring sent him a letter personally 2 weeks ago saying, you are among only 5% of children in America that were able to make the leap, a 3-point leap in 1 year. Please tell us how you did it. And so that's the Rick Macci story. And it sort of brings the whole thing around when you talk about greatest lows being greatest highs. Rick, you made that impact on him.
Well, so what you're saying, the check's in the mail, is that what you're saying? Because okay, but no, let me back up, because you said something like I dismantled him and he was dejected. You got to understand, it was all with positivity. I told him the good, the bad, the ugly. That's the art of coaching, how to say it, why to say it, when to say it, who to say it to, and let him know this is what's on the horizon if you want to get better, okay? But it wasn't in a way where everything he did was like bad. You know what I'm saying?
No, you delivered it. You delivered it so graciously. Yeah. You were complimentary. You made sure, and that is a skill. You made sure, and this is a great thing to talk about just in general when you're leading people, right? Because you were his leader in that moment, and you were able to make him feel like you cared and you nurtured the sensitivity at the same time you pointed out what needed to be pointed out. And then lastly, you gave him direction, how to move forward. It's one thing as leaders for us all to be like, you're not doing this right, you're not doing that right, go do it better. But when you handle somebody with care, you nurture them, You make them feel like you care. They're suddenly vulnerable. They let you in, right? And then when you give them actionable things to execute, man, does a beautiful thing unfold. And that's exactly what happened.
No, absolutely. No, I'm glad he's doing great. I look forward to seeing him again in December.
Yeah, for sure. Brian, what else you got, man?
Now that he called me after that, he was really upset. He said, upset at himself, and just he felt like he was pretty good until he, spent a few minutes with you, and then he realized what time of day it really is. And but like I said, you talked about his footwork and things that I'm not a tennis star myself, but you said a lot of things that were very corrective, but were hard to hear but positive. And now, like I said, he's killing it. I mean, he really is. He's unbelievable.
And to your point, Rick, about in the beginning of this, for those that just joined us, I asked Rick to talk to the parents out there who have children that are aspiring to be great in a sport. And I asked Rick what some of the telltales are to keep pushing your kid. And his answer was, you'll know. Like when your kid starts to pick up that racket, starts to kick that soccer ball or throw that football in moments where it's not practice time, when they start moving around the house and it becomes a real passion. In other words, it's got to be wired on the inside. It's not something you can just force them to do. And that's where my kid is. And that's how I know that the increase will continue. And Rick, to talk about that a little bit more, because we've had some people jump off and jump on. We've been talking for 40 minutes now.
No, absolutely. That is the wild card. When you can light a fire, okay, and the parents got to help with this. And that's why a great coach, their goal is, like I said, to get them to compete better, but to motivate and stimulate, not just educate. You got to inspire them. And that's why I've been able to get people to do things they never thought they can do. I can have more of an impact than the parent, because I have a little different credibility maybe in that profession, but they are going to listen different. And when I tell them that was great, that was better than such and such, that's powerful. One word can change a child's life, okay, or one day or one moment. And this is what people don't understand, especially parents, okay? But when it comes from within and they can't wait to get on the court or whatever they're doing, and they don't want to get off the court. But if there's shortcuts along the way, I'm not saying they won't change, because your brain develops a little different as you get older. It can't even reason at 9 and 10. Parents have to have patience. This is a journey. They're kids. And one more thing, I want every parent listening to understand, what were you like at 11? What were you like at 13? The parents need to come out of that bubble. The kid didn't do that wrong on purpose. It's not where you start. It's like building blocks and building a house. And VW and Serena said the best thing ever at the after party. They came up, they said, Rick, you and Daddy brainwashed us to become number one. We didn't even talk about failure. We talked about Hingis. We talked about Pete Navratilova. We weren't talking about 12-year-old. It was all about greatness and positivity. You can do it. It was the environment was so uplifting. They just expected it. Now that's a little different, but you can do the same thing for your kid and instill belief. You got to be honest with them, but you got to keep instilling that confidence, because it can go. It's the most fleeting thing. Brian's worked pro athletes. It can be gone like that. You see it all the time on football. It's like, whoa. And you can see confidence. All of a sudden the basket's that big. It changes, because we're all humans. We have emotion. Okay. This is important. Now, every parent, they got to support and motivate their kid all the time. You can do it. You can do it. And how proud you are. Just don't look at the negative. You got to have that balance.
I'm curious to know. I want to jump into another sport with a racket and see how candid you can be. Because I would imagine, as someone that's known as the greatest tennis coach to ever live, that you have strong opinions on pickleball. And this thing has just, man, has it exploded. It feels like we're in the top of the first inning. There may not even be an out. The amount of people that are playing pickleball that have rallied to the sport. What are your thoughts? What did you think of it in the beginning when you first heard about this concept of a tiny little paddle and a wiffle ball on a condensed court to now, as you've seen it grow?
Yeah, well, I didn't think it would explode like it did, but I thought it'd be more for older people, because it's not as physical. It's easier. It's good for your health. There's a lot of exercise benefit. There's a lot of camaraderie with other people. So I thought with older people, it would take on a life of its own and it would have its niche. But then when the tennis players who said, listen, I'm not making it, or I've already retired, but they already got the hand-eye, they got those little motor skills. When they got into pickleball, and then you got sponsors, and then you get money, and then you start getting bigger names. Okay, now you got the credibility. Now the machine starts rolling, very different. Bang, it just went over the rainbow. I like it except for one thing. I don't like the sound of the ball hitting the paddle, but I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. You know, all I'm saying, there's a place, it's here to stay. It's never going to be like tennis, no matter what anybody says, but you're going to have a lot of people playing it because it goes for, you know, all ages. That's for sure.
Brian, you play pickleball?
I don't, but you know, one of my very best friends is a guy named Doug Ellen, who we were roommates at Tulane together, and he created the show Entourage. He's a really good friend of mine out here, and he's become very well known for being an older guy in his 50s that's really plays with these 25, 30, 35-year-olds and is keeping up and actually beating them. So I hear about it every day. It's all over his Instagram, and so many people I know. And it's funny. He was playing with Mookie Betts the other day at Mookie's house. I'm like, how are you? And it's the network. People like a Mookie Betts like to play with people that are, you know, like Doug Ellen. I mean, there's just it's a network that's growing, and people who wouldn't normally be spending time together are spending time together. To your point, Rick, about camaraderie. And yeah, I mean, I think that I keep saying I'm going to do it. I keep saying I want to start. I'm going to play, and I just haven't yet. You know,
it's not a big deal. You just get I've got 2 paddles. I'll send you one. You just go to the court. It's not a big deal. Entourage, by the way. Entourage was a great show. Rick, did you ever see Entourage? You probably don't watch a lot of that junk TV, do you?
No, I'm like ESPN. I'm a limited guy, you know, ESPN, and that's about it.
I love Entourage. Man, it's got to be the greatest show ever.
Well, you know, if you look hard enough, you'll see yours truly on 3 episodes.
I know you were on Entourage 3 times.
Well, Doug called me up one day, and I was an agent at ICM at the time, and he said, I need an actor. You got to come down here. So an actor got sick, and I said, I'm not coming down. I'm working. This is when I was at ICM as an agent. And I said, you know, he goes, you got to come down. I need a guy. You're already in a suit. Come on. You're one of my best friends. I said, the only way I'm going to come down is if you give me a speaking line, and you don't put it on the editing floor. Like, you keep me in, I say a line. And so he put me in an episode with Mary J. Blige. If anybody goes back to that, and I play an agent named Bradley, and Jeremy Piven, who's somebody I ended up managing, ironically, asked a question. I give an answer. He yells at me for my answer in typical Ari form, and the rest is history. I had 1 line a season, so my residual checks are 3 cents, 8 cents. Very funny, but you know, it was a phenomenal show, and I had the privilege of popping in and out of it. But
I'm looking for your scene. I Googled it. I couldn't find it. Maybe you can pull it up here.
Look up Bradley. I don't think it's Googleable in that way. It was 1 line. But
hey,
anyway.
Brian, somebody asked me a question the other day. How did your brother become an agent? Right? Like, what is the path like to get to be an agent? What's the answer? I gave an answer. I want to see if it was anywhere close to the truth.
Probably not. I mean, the truth is, and you know, I think it's much like what Rick's talking about. There's no blueprint for it. There really isn't. It's just, success leaves clues. And so I really wasn't great at anything. And when I got out of school, I went to Tulane for a couple of years, and I transferred to USC and graduated from USC, University of Southern California in LA. And I just sort of didn't know what I wanted to do. And one of my good friends, who ended up becoming one of my clients, a guy named Mark Klein, said to me, you got to figure out what you're going to do. I was 25 years old. I was waiting tables. I was trying to write a script. I was just screwing around. I didn't really know where my path was going. And he said, we sat down, he goes, you got to get your shit together, do something. And I said, well, what do you think? He goes, I said, I have no transferable skills. He goes, that's not true. You have the gift of gab. You're reasonably good with people. You're a good person. You have a good education, and you should go get in the mailroom of one of these agencies. And so I read Michael Ovitz's book, and he gave me Michael Ovitz's book to read. And Michael Ovitz for those who don't know, was the biggest agent in Hollywood at the time. This is going back now into the late 1990s. And I realized that anybody who was anybody had started in the William Morris mailroom. David Geffen, Jeffrey Katzenberg, Ovitz himself, a lot of people that ended up being very prolific on the executive side and the producerial side. And so I said, I got to get in that mailroom. And it's another time. For another time, I'll tell you how I got into the mailroom, because they accept 1 out of every 10,000 applicants. But you had to do what you had to do and hustle.
When you say in the mailroom, you're literally in there sorting people's mail. Like, that's what the mailroom is.
Yeah, exactly. You get mail, and you work for agents at 6 a.m, and you open their mail, you distribute it, you open it with envelope openers, and you try to assess what they should read, what they shouldn't read. And yeah, you're literally moving mail and packages around the building, for 60 hours, 60 to 80 hours a week, making $300 a week and no overtime at the time. And just, you bust your ass and a lot of it. And then you meet the right person, and, with timing and opportunity and preparation come together, and good things happen, and one thing leads to another, and you get on an agent's desk as an assistant, and then you try to do things that make you stand out among your peers, and then you continue to get promoted and work your way up. And before I knew it, ironically, the friend that gave me the advice, Mark Klein, Greg, who gave me the advice about getting into the mailroom and starting this career, he wrote a script to a movie called Serendipity, which is the first script I ever sold as an agent. And
great movie
with John Cusack and Kate Beckinsale. I'm dating myself now, but that's kind of how it started, ironically. And he became one of my biggest writer clients. And one thing leads to another, and you get noticed for your abilities, Rick. Not unlike somebody in tennis, you start to see the cream rises to the top. And I'd like to think that I was one of the people that were rising to the top internally at William Morris, and eventually got promoted and became an agent. And
wild, and the rest is history.
But wait, let me chime in on that. But once you get there, everybody can make a cameo. You not only stayed there, you keep going. It's like a tennis player. It's like you've seen a lot of people get to the top and then they disappear. Greatness stays there and they keep going. So without him being consistent about forget getting there, that's the story. But staying there, you're not one and done or in and out. You just keep going. Okay, that's what is inside of your brother right there.
But you know what? There's a common thread in all of this.
Yeah.
It's one word: relationships. You think about how the three of us are suddenly woven together, right? And how that came to be, and what we're trying to build right now. And Brian, who was told by a friend, you've got to do something with your life. And Brian saying, I have no transferable skills. And him saying, bullshit, man, get to work, hit a mailroom. And then Brian ends up not only hitting the mailroom, but the first script he ever sells is the script from the guy who told him to get off his ass. How crazy is that? Or, Rick, Brian gets an introduction to you. You get an introduction to me. You welcome me into your facility, your beautiful, sprawling tennis facility, the Rick Macci Academy in Florida, which I was fortunate enough to go to last year. You and I started to develop a relationship, and now we're good, right? And you're an inspiration to my son, and you're giving us a window into this next girl who you're building a relationship with her mom. She's 8 years old, from Ukraine. She's the next #1 tennis player, and you're pouring all of your money, time, resources, love, energy into this young lady and supporting her. $400,000 this year in 10 months alone out of your pocket. So at the root of all of this, relationships. Powerful, really powerful. What you can do once you trust, right? Because none of that happens without trust. None of it happens. Pretty profound, right? And even in my business, in the mortgage business, that's what I do mainly for a living. Nobody wakes up and says, I'm going to get into the mortgage business. But if you've ever seen a relationship business, this is the one, right? And I just think it's really interesting. Final last minutes here of this call. Rick, who's a tennis player you really like and respect, on the men's and women's side at this time? Who's got the best game, who's got the brightest future, and why?
Well, Alcaraz. I called this 4 years ago, generational talent. The world's never seen this. Makeup speed, turbo speed, like we've never seen before. Has all the racket skills, a drop shot from outer space. Okay, he already has 4 Grand Slams, and he's 21 years old. No one's done that. He's won it on every surface. Okay, barring injury, he's going to have a bucket, double-figure Grand Slam for sure. Alcaraz is amazing. We've never seen this. such a complete game, and every box is checked. Like I said, barring injury, he's something that's so special. I can't even tell you. On the women's side, okay, Sabalenka has the firepower. I like her strokes because it's more ATP, kind of like my partner, Dr. Brian Gordon. We put this together 17 years ago. We're the worldwide leader in biomechanics. I like how she hits the ball, but I have a personal interest in Coco Gauff because her brother's in the academy. The best competitive athlete, okay, I've ever seen. And he doesn't play tennis. He just plays tennis to like compete. He's the #1 middle school quarterback in the United States. Okay, he's 11 years old. The guy's probably going to be someday 6'5", 240. I don't know. Maybe you'll represent him. This kid is unbelievable. Coco's the second best athlete in the family, you know. But Coco, unlimited potential, a few little speed bumps in her game. But because she's right here down the road in Delray Beach, and I know the father real well and the brother, those are my two favorites if I had to pick one. But my favorite student, I got to answer this. My favorite student of all time, people always ask me this, Greg. They think it's Venus, Serena, Capriatti, Roddick, Sharapova, Kennan. It's who's ever on the other side of the net. That hour, that minute, that second. And last December, that was your son.
Wow. And he felt it too, and so did I. Just real quickly, do you have to be tall to be a great tennis player? I'm not talking about to be #1. Like what people feel like I've heard it be said before. You got to be 6'2", you got to be 6'4", you got to have this towering serve. What's the truth?
No, that has nothing to do with it. If you're tall, okay, you might have a little more leverage on the serve, but it's not how big you are. It's how big you are in here. I mean, women's tennis is a little different because it's not as physical. You know, you see, Paolini from Italy.
Italy, yeah, I saw. Yeah, she went to the finals.
I mean, she's brutal. No, it's not. You don't fall in love with that. You could be tall and a turtle. I'd rather be small and a jackrabbit because this is a movement sport. The guys can get a little more leverage, but Alcaraz, he's like 6 feet, 6'1". No. But then again, if I had LeBron James at 10 years old and could put the biomechanics on him, I could have made the guy #1 in the world, no doubt.
In tennis.
No doubt.
In tennis.
6'8",
LeBron James.
240. What'd you say?
You're saying you could have made LeBron James the #1 tennis player in the world?
Easily. Because he's hitting the ground. Look, he can run, he can jump, he's quick, he's fast. He'll go for the jugular. Could you imagine with him with a center forehand, a Djokovic backhand, and a Roddick serve? Give me a break.
Interesting.
He already has the inner stuff, the competitive, the genetic. So listen, we're talking rare air greatness. But to be the best you can be, okay, like we said earlier, anybody can be their best they can be. I have it simple with all the kids. You're either in or out. If you're not in, then you go home for the day. That's it.
Brian, closing words, my friend. It's good to have you on here. We should do this more often.
Yeah, good to have you on.
Superstar Hollywood agent, Brian Scher.
This has been great. There's so much more to talk about than I thought. And I mean, I think that's what happens when you get brilliant minds together. No, I'm kidding. I just think that what I've seen through this conversation is that, life is long. You have to pace yourself. Everybody's in such a hurry to get to where they want to go. And life is a lot about reading the road and pivoting as you go. And I think, Rick, to your point, you're not 25, neither am I, neither is Greg, but there's a reason, like you said, once you get in the door, you have to keep going and you have to make decisions about who you're going to, jobs you're going to take, places you're going to leave, who you're going to partner with. And, we all get burned along the way, by the way. I've had plenty of people, plenty of things not work out for me, but you're right. You keep going and you pivot and you try other things and you sign other people. And, as long as you trust your gut, that'll always lead you home.
For sure. Rick, closing statements from the greatest tennis coach to ever walk this earth. What do you got?
Everything's perspective. I said this earlier. I want everybody to take a deep breath and always appreciate what you have instead of what you don't have. And don't thank God it's Friday. Thank God it's every day. And if that's your cornerstone, okay, if that's your gold nugget that you live your life by, a lot of other things kind of fall in place. Trust me on that.
This has been awesome. Really appreciate your time, both of you. Rick, I'll see you down there in a couple of weeks. Brian, I'll see you down there too in Florida.
You know where to find me, right?
Court one, baby. Court one.
That's it. One.
This has been an awesome one-on-one. This typically goes 20 minutes to 25. We've gone a full hour. This has been superb. Thank you so much, both of you.
All right. Later, guys.
I really appreciate it. Have a great day.
I'll text you at 1 a.m. Here you go.
Look forward to it. Look forward to it. All right. My thanks to Donna Chachevsky for producing. As always, she is phenomenal. And we'll see you next Monday. Stay tuned in the coming days to figure out and learn who our guest is. It's going to be a great one. Till then, so long. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Hope you enjoy your time with your family. Take care.